Rahayu Saka kesalahan na cining diri anai lati. Called as Lati, released in 2020, doesn't Lati bring us about a new atmosphere to our music industry? You, I, and all of our old generation seem to be pessimists toward the existence of our native culture as globalization develops so fast. However, let's view back to Lati. This song shows us how modern music is combined to traditional music, traditional language, and traditional dances as well. Does globalization really threaten the existence of our native culture? Does globalization really lessen the young generation willingness to preserve our native culture? Honorable judges, respective audience, and everyone today, so happy I am Ida Yurikan India from SMP Negeri 3 Semarapura can stand here to deliver my speech entitled Virtual Culture Festival Bridging Young and Old Generation. As young generation, born as native digital and born in the era of 4.0, I myself cannot neglect the effect of globalization. It affects the way I thought, the way I feel something, and of course the way I live. The fact that old generation always blame young generation for not preserving our native culture, for not interested in learning our native culture, and for choosing more to modern culture happen endlessly. When everyone views that globalization will threaten the existence of our native culture, I don't have different view. To me, globalization never does it. Globalization, in the other side, helps us to spread out, to introduce what our country has as their local genius. Let's take an example of Lati. This song sung by the Indonesian group music by combining modern and traditional instrument gamelan. Lati has amazed the world. Through Lati, Indonesia has successfully introduced gamelan, Javanese language and dance, wayang in the bush. When it became the trending topic in Times Square, New York, and online social media, it proves us that our native culture is never left by our young generation. It proves us that globalization never killed our native culture. It proves us that we need to adapt our culture. And it proves us by the development of technology in this globalization era, we can easily introduce what we have as Indonesian. Everyone should admit that as young generation, we have different ways to introduce, to preserve, and to spread out our culture. And let's adapt our culture in this era. Honorable judges, I believe world and everyone today will be interested into our native culture when it's packaged in modern way as what Lati has done. Since online has taken over most of the aspect in modern life and most of young generation prefers to learn from online sources, why don't we try to adapt it? Let's start by holding virtual culture festival. As young generation who are close to technology, I believe everyone can do it. First, providing online tutor. Through online tutor, we can invite and work together with our old generation to provide many sources of learning which can be browsed freely whenever and wherever. Indirectly, old generation has chance to transfer their knowledge without waiting to those who want to learn. While for virtual culture festival, we can do many things like virtual music and dance competition, virtual traditional culinary, and virtual fashion show. Like a bridge between young and old generation. Virtual culture festival become a media for old and young generation to work together, to communicate, and to discuss. Virtual culture festival will provide a space that culture isn't just about all time. Our culture can be elaborated in terms of their performances. Moreover, since it's borderless, everyone can join this festival without thinking of their distance. School, office, village can become the official of these all competitions. And then, through this virtual culture festival during this pandemic, we can challenge young generation creativity and elaborating our traditional culture, attract and shows the world that we, in this modern era, still have our precious treasure, and that is our traditional culture. To sum up, once again, I want to emphasize that nothing has lost. It's just because we, young generation and old generation, live in different era. We don't have different way to learn and preserve our culture. If old generation still don't want to change their mindset toward the way in learning and preserving our culture, the one and only you yourself who have to take the responsibility for our culture as sustainable. Thank you.